outboard stand for the lathe. Well, I had a chunk of steel about this big around, and needed to drill a hole in it. And had an inch and a 16th drill bit that I got from Tom Savoy, but it was dull as a cop. I said, how am I going to fix that? So I called the machine shop. He's my next door neighbor, runs one, and he says, yeah, I can sharpen those, no problem. We just touch that up. It would cost me more to have one of them done than to buy a new bit. So I went to the internet, I started looking and said, what are you going to do? How do you sharpen it yourself? And they came up with first thing I saw was this wooden jig. This is at 59 degrees parallel. I've got a tool stand on the front of my grinder that is kind of like this, only it's bigger. And I put a round piece on the bottom of it, cut this on the table saw, and it's real simple. You just drop this in, put your tool rest so that the edge of the bit, the sharp that you want to sharpen, is parallel to the center, so you get a vertical cut on it. And you just lay it across, then up there, right across like this. That's what I did this bit with. And it sharpened, and I drilled through a 3-inch deep hole with a piece of steel. See how good that is. That was done in, it took me 45 minutes to set up to do the jig, and then I did that in 15 seconds to sharpen the bit so it could be used. It is plain and simple. It was so dull it wouldn't cut anything.
Your tool rest at 90 degrees?
The what?
Your tool rest is flat?
The rest is flat, and it's at a level so that it's just slightly above the bit, edge of the bit, sharpening edge of the bit is just slightly above the center of the grinding stud. Got to cut this with chop. I did this on the table saw. I flipped it over. I had to figure the angle to big yes. I did this on my chop saw so that I could put a 1/4-inch bit in there, hold it with my finger, and just run it across the grinding stud. Really simple, really easy. And I said myself, well, the cost of the bit.
You don't turn the drill bit, you just sharpen the
And
edge.
all I did, this bit is good. It has a good, well, this angle, the back side of the bit is your clearance angle. That clearance angle was fine, it's just the edge itself was done. So I said that anyway, that's not right. Real simple, real cheap, real easy, quick way to do a drill bit for doing large ones. But it's really hard when you get down to a drill bit that's 1/4 of an inch to get that and then keep the angle going back towards the center where the chisel point should be. So I got to looking around and said, you know, it's got to be a better way to do that. And I happened to see a guy doing a hand crank, sharpening his bits. I said, well, I'll give that a try. He says, I know I've got a hand crank somewhere, and it dawned on me I'd seen my granddad do just exactly that. Grind his drill bits just like this on a hand crank, and this is his. I had it up in the attic.
How old was that?
How old is this? Probably 1880s or thereabouts. It had come from his grandfather, and it was about the time he was old, I guess. But it's really simple. It's got a mark from the face of the grinding stone out at 59 degrees.
What kind of chucking you got to hold that bit?
The what?
What kind of chucking you got to hold that bit?
That is a number 3 Morris taper. I do not own one, but have those. Pop's Boys got several that are adapters from number 3 Morris taper to number 2 Morse taper, you put the tailstock of your wood lathe, and then what I did is I chucked that chunk of steel up in my wood lathe, turned it to 120 RPM or something like that, and I hand cranked the tailstock down and let it drill itself and turn it into a metal turn lathe, metalwork lathe. Worked fine. Scared the pea water out of me, but it worked fine. Anyway, I have done a number of these bits with a hand grinder. This is the old way to do it, and it's a real simple way to do that. You can find a little grinding wheel and just set it up there and grind it yourself. But this works really good. Not terribly accurate, but it's quite good enough to get an edge on it. And you can feel how sharp the edges are. If it's 65 degrees, it's not going to matter. If it's 55, it's not going to matter. The angle on the bit is typical, done 59 degrees. And that is for mild steel, average everyday mild steel. If you want to go to a harder steel, you can sharpen that angle out to a lesser angle. If it's a thin steel, you want to sharpen that out to a taper angle so that it gets a different sweep on it. And it tends to cut better that way. If it's a real soft material, you want to go to a sharp angle like this. You want to do that all the way up to doing plastic, and actually the sharper the angle, it works good for engraving wood that way too. But for a regular average everyday bit, this is 59 degrees. It doesn't have to be. The easiest way to figure out whether you're even close, take 2 hex nuts, each one of this, glue them together, and that's 59 degrees. This is 60 degrees. This is 59 degrees. Nobody's done no difference. But that's a good way to test and see if your angle on your bit is correctly done. It's at an angle that is the same on both sides. If the point is ground off, you grind more off one side than ground off the other, the bit will wander and it'll make an oval hole. If your clearance angle is not large enough, what happens is that heat has too much heat, it leaves too much heat in it from the friction of the bottom of the bit, the bottom of the hole, and when you're doing metal in particular, and that will increase the temperature off of it, which is liable to take some of the temper out of your drill bit.
You can do that, you just grind the backside of the lamp and let the chips come out.
That's right. And what happens is, in materials, what you want to do is you want to let it get enough of a clearance angle so that it'll help break that chip and force the chip up the flute. The flute is pretty good. So I got to looking for other ways to do this. I could use a grinder, I've done it by hand, use a little jig. Mostly I just take the grinder and try to touch something up, and I just have, every once in a while, get good at it, and mostly it's just crap. So I'm looking for some way to do this that would be consistently good all the time. So I put an email out asking if somebody had a drill doctor. I've never used one, didn't know anything about them, kind of shy away from that stuff. It's one of those, well, you get a Harbor Freight tool and piece of crap, spend your money and look at it. So I looked around and I saw this jig. It was advertised by Grizzly for $19.96 or something like that. This jig I read a lot about it. And ordered one, had it delivered, waiting for something to come up like this. And I tried it out. for 20 bucks, this will handle bits allegedly down to 3/16 up to a half an inch. It works better from the 1/4 inch on up, but you got that?
Yep.
Really pretty simple. It's got, oh, wait, you can see that
Where? What you want?
over here, backside.
Okay.
You see that? Right here.
Yep.
You can change, it's got an adjustment on it, so you can change the angle of the point to make it work better for softer materials or harder materials. But it's got a little stop right here for 59 degrees, and that's probably where I've left it all the time. I wanted something that would just be simple to use and would be effective. Run this in, it's got a, I wish I could show that to you. It's got a stop for it rides up underneath the bottom of the flute to keep the flute vertical. Drop your bit in, run it up until it touches. Adjust it. Lock it down. And you can adjust this up and down for different length bits. Drop your clamp down. And just turn it on. Swing it around. Cuts the edge of the bit. And clearance angle. At the same time.
Oops.
Oops. It leaves a little bit of a burr, so I just hit it just lightly. Just a couple of judge strokes for the Fahrenheit. And pass this around. That was dull as pop when I first started. That quick, that simple, that easy. Those bigger bits.
How small will it go?
The what?
How small a bit can you use?
Down to about 3/16. It says it goes smaller than that, but it's kind of hard to see what you're doing. And it's really difficult to get those accurately done. Almost no matter what kind of jig you use. And in truth, if it's smaller than a number 7, which is what you do, a 1/4 inch hole to tap a 1/4 inch hole, if it's smaller than number 7, throw the damn thing away. And all of them, when they get dull, and just go ahead and buy them. They're too cheap anymore to do drill bits that are small. But this bit right here, that's about 15 or 18 bucks. This bit's even more. When they get really big, like a 3/4, you can spend 30 bucks for that. So you want to say it's worth sharpening those to get them to back to a point where you can use them again.
What grid stone is on?
The what?
The grid on your stone.
This is I don't know. I keep wanting to say, I think this stone is 100 grit. And I took the other one over here off, just simply because it's got, I have 2 stones. One is a 36 grit stone, and the other one's an 80 grit stone. And the 80 grit didn't want to put 36 grit on, you don't have much use for that. The 80 grit stone has a dull sound to it when you wrap it. You stick the stone on a screwdriver, just give it a tap with the tool. If it rings, it's probably solid. If it doesn't ring, you probably ought to throw it away. Rebalance this one. On those stones, so it sits there, grinds really well now. I balance this one off. The inexpensive stones let me back up. This is a Harbor Freight grinder, so is that one. The grinders themselves are really made very, very well. I mean, it's a simple motor, it's in balance, it does a really good job. It's the stones you have on them that are out of balance that just vibrate all over hell, and they're just no good. And the problem with them is not the stone itself, it's the center of the stone. That's the little plastic wheels here, cushions in there, and they just go, you just can't do anything with them. They're worn out and they sit there and
Can't press it up.
let the ball.
They can press it, round it up.
Well, unfortunately, the stone itself, the center hole in the stone has an epoxy filling in it. The epoxy is on there, gets beat up really quickly, so the stone is constantly moving no matter what you do to it. You can dress it all day long, and you're never going to get it to run without having vibrations because the stone is wobbling. The stone itself is wobbling on the shaft.
Throw it away.
Throw them away, buy decent stone. But it's okay to buy a cheap grinder, just buy a decent stone. And no matter what you're doing, if you have a stone on it, keep your guards on. I've had these come apart. I was fortunate. I walked away from the grinder and it blew up when I was halfway across the shop one day, and it knocked a hole in the cinder block wall from where I was, and I didn't have the guards on. And it was my fault. I was being stupid. This is, if you're looking for something that will grind your drill bits rapidly and accurately and do it for a real cheap price, this is $20 for Grizzly. It's $20 shop files. $21, $22 on Amazon. You can buy this same jig made by the same Chinese company for $135 on Amazon too. So you got to pay attention to what you're buying. But it's, I think it's worth having in lieu of having a dedicated grinder that's more expensive. This is real simple.
It's grinding on the side of the stone.
Pardon me?
It's grinding on the side of the stone.
This grinds on the side of the stone, right there. I'll grind on more of these. Probably got this too far out.
When you stop it, you just put your bit to your touches the wheel.
What?
You just run your bit up until it touches the wheel.
Till it touches the wheel,
Then you move off.
until it just touches the wheel, set your distance up back here. And you go ahead and grind it, see how much it's grinding away. And if it's not grinding away enough, adjust that up a little bit more. We'll see how that goes.
They don't
That
have,
ground is pretty good.
they don't have those at Harbor Freight.
Do I have a what?
That little jig.
What about it?
Do they have it at Harbor Freight?
I would imagine they probably do.
I haven't seen it.
If you got Amazon Prime, it's $19.95. It's from Grizzly, it's about I think it was $21 from Amazon Prime. It's $19.99. Just that quick from a bit that cleans up a wooden cut anyway. So I got a phone call from Jim, who's my next door neighbor, and he has this rig from Drill Dog. This is a Model 300. It's a real simple one. It does from 3/32, which is really small, to 1/2 inch. And there again, I think if it's under 1/4 inch, I'll throw the damn thing away. But it's, I'll start out with 1/2 inch bit. This is real simple to use.
Turn the light on.
You can see down there. It has a,
Wait, back off a little bit. Back off from the light.
oh, back the light off a little bit?
No, you back off from the light. I can zoom in.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
I can't get back on that. Okay. You put your bit in. And, can you see that?
Yep.
What's that for? Why am I not hitting this up right? Until it stops, there's a stop button in there, and you can see the flukes on it. And this comes in, the two little fingers come in, and they trap the bit at the flukes, keep it in the proper orientation all the time. Real simple. Put your bit in, crank it down until it gets tight, back it off a little bit so it'll slide back and forth. There's a flat in the top, a flat here. Drop that in, push the button, put your drill bit in until it goes to the stop. Turn it loose. That's trapped. Tighten it down. Remove the tool bit with your tool in it. Can you see that? There you go. It's got a diamond grinder drill on the inside that goes right around. Real simple. Let's figure out how to turn it on. Oh, it's got a cam. What do we do? It's got a cam here that rises up and it puts the drill bit on an angle after it cuts the first flat so that it cuts your clearance angle. And then it drops down and do the same thing on the other side. And there's a button here it rides against and another down here. Real simple. You drop it in. It's got a little white mark on the top of it. That's so you can count your revolutions because you want to grind the same amount off, same amount of temperature. You want to cut 6 on one side, 4 on the other. Turn it on. One turn, 2 turns, probably enough. Nope. It's not getting all the way down to the clearance angle on the bottom of it, but it's got the point pretty well done. The chisel point at the top is pretty well done. That was 3.
6. That's 6.
6 hands. I'll just pass this one around so you can see how much it's done. Hold it over. There's a lot of different designs, the tools, drills. What?
If you discolor the metal, does that have anything to do with the temper, like other metals? If it's too hot or?
If you discolor 1018 steel, it's a piece of crap. If you discolor 1045 steel, it's a piece of crap. You take the temper out of it. But 1080 somewhere, which is 0.8% carbon, you're probably going to take the temper out of it. If you're up to high-speed steel, which is what the bits are made out of, you won't hurt them until you get them almost cherry red. It's that quick, just this quick to do a drill bit. And I'll go back to the cardboard with it. I think this rig will do up to 1.25 inch, which is most of the bits we use. I think this is about 40 or 50 bucks.
That would,
Pardon?
the pressure and rotation on that little machine there wouldn't probably
What?
get too hot.
The what?
See, that little machine wouldn't get a bit too hot.
Well, you don't get too hot. No, you can get it too hot on this one.
Yeah, I know.
And I've done that. But with this one here, it's you're not cutting it. It's a diamond bit, and it's cutting fast enough so that you don't have a problem with it overheating. Bill thinks I'm gonna grind all his bits and sharpen them all up, but I'm not gonna.
That was 3 turns. Don't you need to do an even number?
I don't mind drill bits. I love the magic markers mark on that one so you can see this. And then just cut
You'll have
just
to
to
regrind
sharpen
the
the
bill.
edge of it. You only just barely have to touch this thing down.
You would put the lights back on the.
Anyway, that's
See
the
those braces?
300 model
The braces
that's,
going this way.
and
Look how close you get to
Jack-
that when they say they're not supposed to have one going up in case we get somebody burner back there.
called me and he said, I have
Yeah, I see
this
what you mean.
jig over here. And tell you how to show you how old it is.
We moved the table.
Because
Moved the table out a little bit.
It would still be better.
Yeah.
you know, I don't know, has this ever been used, Jack?
Just reverse it.
This one goes from 3/32 to a half an inch, just like that. This one does. Same structure.
Just the angle
And it
part.
goes from
Say this way, go that way.
half to 3/4 of an inch.
The reason we had this,
That's too big.
had lights on
But
Mm-hmm.
it,
we can try this
out
one.
the way, it may be you can reduce the angle of this, because you would still, the idea is to support this.
I'm using magic marker on the bits to see how much it's turning off. And you really don't need to cut a lot of clearance angle on most of the bits. You just want to take. This edge in the back, the outside edge of the leading edge, gets the most wear on it. And that's probably the most critical portion of it. So you want to get that sharp right here. And after that, it says 3/4. Did it say 3/4? And all we're going to do, so I'm marking them so that all I have to do is just touch that edge up until it's sharp. And leave my clearance angle alone. Now, I don't know if it's going to work on this one. I have to try it. This is Jack's. I know one thing's not going to happen. It's not gonna work if I don't plug it in. Anyway, we have a board meeting coming up, I don't know, Wednesday? And I think it behooves the board to decide. I'd like to have one of these available so I could do all my drill bits. They do both of these rigs, in my limited experience just using two of them. I think they both do a wonderful job on bits between 1/4 and 1/2 inch, and they do a very acceptable job on bits over 3/4, or 1/2 to 3/4. So I've measured markered that, and all I've done is I hit the edge of the clearance angle and sharpen the bit. You can tell it's sharp. Put your fingers down on both ends. Touch it.
How easy is it to destroy the machine?
For the what?
To destroy the machine, how easy is it?
Well, both of them are supposed to be able to be used to cut carbide with.
I'm talking about destroy.
Destroy.
Like if the glove has it, how easy is it to break it?
What are you saying, Hal?
Damn, it's made out of plastic. What do you want? I'm going to slam it against the wall.
And on a grinding wheel in there, you have to replace those.
Yeah, you have a replacement, and I don't know, Jim didn't have his instructions or anything else, but this is it, which you don't really need anything else for his. But this one comes with a little wrench. It's kind of cute. Still in its little plastic bag. It's never been used. For taking off the grinding wheel. Also comes with a little dust thingy, so you can put it on there to collect the metal dust coming out of there, or suck it down, or save it like a Irishman or Scot or whatever. And it comes with 70 pages of instructions.
It has mixtures in it?
No, I think what it does in here, it tells you how to cut carbide bits and fast tool bits and some other kind of stuff that I'm never going to do. I'm a little worried, concerned about, I've got a small diamond wheel that I dress my carbide bits up with, and I don't want them too sharp for them to be drilled through a brick wall. But 70 pages, and let's see, this is Spanish and English, English and French. This is English and Spanish. So we got 24 pages of instructions, which is, in my opinion, is probably 20 pages too many. But it talks about doing split bits and step bits, which you won't do a step bit. You do point on a step bit, but correctly sharpen misalignment. I learned more from about drill bits that I had no clue about just from fooling around with this. So we can come up and give it a try. I'm about done here, I think. There's plenty of bits up here if you want to grind them off.
You know, I want to mention, drill bit, if it looks sharp and it's not cut in, you take a washer and put it on the top. If the backside is a little higher than the blade.
Oh, well, yeah. And it's really important on drill bits to have both those points even so that it reduces the amount of stress on the drill bit and that the ground is equal and that the chisel point between the two cutting edges is sharp. And the clearance angle is really important that you have enough clearance angle so that the drill bit won't overheat and the chip will come out.
That web, that point in the center, if it's from this way or it's going this way, we're not cutting it off.
Well, that's right.
Pretty much.
That's right. And it's, I didn't bring it. Jim and I, he showed me how to do this. I took one of my old drill bits, stuck it in here the first time, cranked it off, moved it over, we drilled a hole in a piece of steel angle iron this thick, just with probably a 5/16 inch bit. That's way too big a hole to be doing with a single cut. You really ought to be drilling a smaller pilot hole almost all the time to start things off with. Bits don't wander so much, and it's a lot less stressful on the bit to put a hole in. Any other question? Nope. Somebody want to come play? Nope.